generally a proposal and a price to build the job, right? And that's $100 million. That's what it's gonna cost you, client, to design and build it, right? You're stuck with that. That's a progressive design build. The client hires you based on your qualifications, and you want the client through design. By the time you get to the end of design, you negotiate a price to build the job. If you can agree on a price, you go build it. If you can't, they take that design and they can go bid it to the industry. So it's the same at the end of the CMGC. You negotiate a price at the end. So those, there's nothing to necessarily bid, so they have to do it on a selection base. So there's a lot of proposals. I do a lot of writing. I didn't know that I was gonna have to be an author, but I can tell you there's so many clients that do this best value selection that do you guys have to take a technical writing course? Yeah, it's pretty dang important.
It's the most useful class you'll take.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I put together a lot of proposals, do a lot of writing and whatnot. So anyway, we use Bluebeam quite a bit to help just communicate, right? We have graphic designers and whatnot. We have other people to help write and maybe refine what we write. But you're the ones that have to come up with all the technical, right? We can't just hire writers that know how to, build a bridge or build a water treatment plant, right? So anyway, this is for a project that we had to put basically a map together. Hey, here's all the elements of the project. And so I took Bluebeam and I just put some real quick and easy graphics on here and talked to my graphics guy. I said, hey, this is what we need in the proposal, right? And maybe this took me 45 minutes or so to put this together once I had the information. And then when we submitted it, if you could click to that, yeah.
This is what the pro put together.
So this is what we submitted as one of our pages, right? With all the information that kind of goes with it. So it's just a quick and dirty way here. Here's what I'm looking for in the proposal. Make this pretty for me, right? I'd imagine, why do you guys use Bluebeam to sketches, markup, stuff like that, right? So that's super useful, right? If you don't use it for that, if you can start to get used to some of those tools, that's super useful. All right, now I'm turning over to Garrett. That's my only 2 examples. I had 2 other examples, but he's got better examples of what I was gonna talk about. So I'm gonna let him cover it.
All right, so you guys are going through, bear with me. And you're learning all the markup tools. So when you're working on a project, you use Bluebeam to just convey simple messages. Like just this drawing right here where we had specific lengths of wood that were for specific locations, and you could just highlight the drawing and say, I want this 9'10" long 4x4 right there. And your crew can cut a bunch of 4x4s at a certain length, and you could just quickly highlight something in Bluebeam. So it doesn't have to be pretty, it just needs to be effective, and that's just what we do when you're on projects. You just have to pretty much get the job done.
Garrett, do you have is this an example where you actually use the measurement tool?
Yes, we would have done that. For this specific one, we would have scaled. Typically, when you're in a project, you're not scaling. You are using hard dimensions that the engineer gives you. Yeah. But for false work, this would have been scaled. So
is that something that I guess you guys have gone over? Can you show them how to? You guys use the measurement tool quite a bit? Yeah, I would imagine, right? Probably that's one of the main tools you guys use. So you're all. You want him to show you, or are you good?
You good?
Oh, we got some new users though. Have you guys used the measurement tool? All right, Garrett, fire it up. All right, you're on the spot.
I hope I'm right.
Don't mess it
Boom,
up.
nailed it.
Okay, now show them what you did.
Okay. So, the person who drew my false work drawings back in the day didn't provide lengths. He just drew them in. So what we did was, for all these 4x4s, we scaled them off the drawing, and we told our crew, probably shaved an inch or 2 off of it, just to make sure it fit. But yeah, we just scaled.
So show them how you use the measurement.
Oh, sorry. You got to calibrate. You can either choose a scale at the bottom or pick a dimension. So you got 1 foot right here.
click one to one, put one to it.
and then pull your thing, and you can just scale across.
Something I like to do after I calibrate, I do that. I pull a measurement that's shown.
Yeah.
You know it's calibrated. Right?
Make sure the drafter didn't mess up somewhere.
Believe it or not, that happens.
And then like, just go for it.
So you know how when you're doing the measurement,
You got a faster way?
yeah, and it's snapped right onto the
Yeah,
the line. How do you get it to do that? Because some of us,
there's a snap button right here.
right? So I've seen some of us just zoom in all the way to try and get it precise instead of using that.
If it's a scan drawing, it won't work, but if it's a computer generated, AutoCAD PDF, you can snap to content. There's also snap to grid.
Where's that function at?
Right here,
Snap on
right
top.
here, bottom left. So if I turn it off,
Where's your thing then?
you not see it? Oh, there it is. Oh, man, you can't see it. Oh, bummer. This thing's covering it up.
Your brain changed the view on there.
That's.
I bet.
That's.
Bummer.
What have you put? I love you.
I can see it on this end, Matt.
Yeah.
Huh.
You said it was snap to grid or?
So at the bottom bar, you have a couple different snaps. You have a snap to, you can show the grid like I'm showing right here now. And you can snap to whatever that grid is. I never use this.
Okay.
And then, so you have a grid, you can, let me pull up you can, in a perfect world, it'll snap to it. And then you have a snap to object and you can just pull it around as needed. Next time you're on Bluebeam, take a look at the bottom right.
If you go to view, in the black ribbon, you can change it there too.
Which one's view? More?
In the top ribbon, it says review, file, edit, view.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, the drop down ribbon. You change it there.
Oh, yeah, you can, yeah, right here. So you can change your snapping right here, or you can snap to your markup if you wanted. Okay,
Thank you.
learn something.
I did. I told you I'd learn something today.
All right, I won't be long-winded. There's a couple things that I think are the most beneficial, but I mean, you guys are learning how to make boxes and change their colors. So combine all those skills, learn how to sketch things. You can convey semi-complicated designs that you want people to build. Like, believe it or not, my foreman, who was 70 years old, he drew this. So if you can do it, I think everyone in this room can do it. So this was 2 forms that held a pipe, and this was just used to convey the concept to his crews. So just simple sketching, fundamentals, and a little bit of understanding of how things go together. You can make, decent drawings. And then we just use Bluebeam to identify where we want our forms to go. Really, it's just sketching. One of the
Any questions on any of this stuff as far as how we did some of this?
just drawing boxes. I don't use, I probably use AutoCAD a little bit more personally, but I use Bluebeam a lot of the times. So this is another thing. So I have this map where we had truck routing, and have you guys used tool palettes before?
Who has used tool palettes?
Okay, so probably don't have enough time to go into a lot of detail on how to make tool palettes. There's probably a lot of Google information out there, but the power of tool palettes is you can create your own tool palettes, and you can make a stop sign that you throw onto your map and say, hey, I need you to put a temporary stop sign right there, that intersection, or maybe a do not enter. And you just throw it in there. So, it's this little tool chest right here on your guys' ribbon. These are a bunch of custom ones. I have a different profile for when I'm doing structures work, but
Are these all preloaded?
so, not those signs. Those were made by Northern California. So, but I mean, you have structural members. This comes with it. There's only a handful of members, but you can make your own tools that you're going to use often. So if you're obviously doing structural steel and you're trying to convey messages, you have a bunch of options. So some of that, maybe the company you work for has made them for you, or you just make them yourself.
Welding symbols, that would come in real handy for,
Yeah.
I was doing a lot of fabrication.
So yeah, you can throw your weld on there. Let's see. So we do a lot of maps with temporary traffic control. So one of the most beneficial things I can think of with Bluebeam. All right, and then quantity takeoffs. Have you guys done a quantity takeoff before in this? Okay, so Bluebeam is amazing when it comes to quantity takeoffs. You can track everything using the little what he showed with the spec review. You can track it that way. Every company is a little different. Kiewit, we have a tracking sheet that we have on the side, but right here, this is a real life submittal that we submitted to the city of San Jose, and this was at 60% design. So obviously the drawings are, only 60% of the way there. So they're a little confusing drawings, but what we submitted was every concrete placement for the structure. So we have the concrete placement identified and we gave it labels, and it can be very simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. For this structure, it was pretty easy to do a quantity takeoff by using numbers and not having to use Bluebeam. But for this port right here, where you have what do you call that, a rhombus? I don't know. You would probably want to use Bluebeam to trace that to get your area and your volume for your concrete. So we use Bluebeam to identify all of our concrete pours. And then whether you use Bluebeam to get your square foots, your linear foots, your areas, your volumes, that's to your discretion. But we put everything into a tracking sheet that you can use to track all your quantities. So we have our structure, we have each individual pour. Oh man, give me a sec. Come on, Matt. Gotta let me know. All right, so we're still tracking on side sheets, but we have our structure name, we have our individual pours, and we have the quantities associated with it. If we use Bluebeam to get anything like this elevated slab number 1 with this area and square footage, that was probably taken from Bluebeam. So we identify things in our quantity takeoff that were not done by math. We use the program. So, but we use Excel to keep ourselves organized. But there's a lot of quantity takeoffs that we can do within Bluebeam that make life a lot quicker than it probably was when Dustin was doing estimate takeoff 20 years ago. I was telling Dustin, even in 2012, my first takeoff was on a piece of paper that we had to do everything by hand. So this was our submittal package that we submitted for all of our concrete placements on this given structure. And this was a picture of the structure as it was being built. Any questions on takeoff? Has anyone done a Bluebeam studio session?
Oh, yeah.
What? All right, so this is the best feature of Bluebeam that I can think of by far. Let me open one up. So you can find your studio sessions. Is that a studio session is essentially a shared Bluebeam file that everyone can work on. So I am currently, oh gosh, no, I gotta sign in. Oh, no, I'm signed in. So I'm currently design build manager on a progressive design build. I have a construction team and a design team. Design team is currently working on 90% drawings. So when those become available, rather than having a bunch of bootleg copies of the design that we all mark up, we have one file that's shared. And we could all go in there, log in, track our markups. It'll track everything for us. And then we can spit it out into Excel. So let me find my master set really quick. So here's got to get everyone to sign a non-disclosure agreement before I show them this. So this is our current 60% design. It'll take a few minutes to open up since I'm not on the Kiewit network. So it'll show essentially anytime someone did anything. So it'll tell you every time an arrow was moved. Give me a sec. So here's the design. We're at 60%, so obviously it's not a pretty design. So we go through, and when we see problems, we mark it up. There's 113 pages, so you can see every time someone marks up the page, you can click on the markup and you can be like, who's this loser that said this because they're wrong. You can find, essentially you can find their name, if it'll ever do that. Pretend like it's opening up. There it is. So you can be like, Joel Ewald doesn't know what he's talking about. Or you can see his comment. He can put it off to the side and you can respond. You could also take this grouping, depending on what you have for your columns, and you can, spit it out in Excel and have a comment log that you can track on the side. So to keep yourself organized. But it's a lot better to do a shared Bluebeam file than it is to have 50 individuals each commenting on a different file. So this is my favorite feature of Bluebeam. So if you haven't dealt with a Bluebeam studio session, I'm not sure you guys go over it in class at all.
Yes, Garrett. So we're actually using the studio session in our 150 heavy build or commercial building class. And we also use it on the commercial building team as well.
I think this is a super important one, because I was just talking about how many clients are going progressive design build and CMGC. I've done comment resolution on design where it is everybody puts their comments on a separate file. It's so hard to keep it organized. You generally drop comments. This is something for sure. If you've never done this, you're gonna want to figure this out.
That's the last one I have.
All right. Well, I think that's all we had. Any other questions? Oh, that's kind of quick.
We talked for 40 minutes about Kiewit and then 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's a quite well.
Yes.
Anything else? We got Myron right now? What's
Hey,
that?
Garrett,
Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Christy.
can you talk a little bit about how you might use it for I'm nothing against you guys, but I am the commercial building team advisor. And so we do a lot of site logistics plans, site utilization plans. What's the difference, doing a staging plan in Bluebeam versus a site utilization plan? And maybe you could just kind of describe how we could use Bluebeam in a heavy civil sense for kind of the same kind of thing, but you guys obviously use it as a staging plan versus like a site logistics plan or a site utilization plan. Just so to give you some perspective, on building jobs, a lot of times what they'll do is, they'll, you know, when they mobilize, they'll have like a mobilization plan, and then they'll have phasing within a particular building, like maybe, you know, a crane plan, and then they might have, you know, their structure plan, you know, and they go through and may do overlays for phasing. How would you do the same thing for heavy civil work?
Bear with me. I have, I got one.
I was gonna say that's a loaded question, huh?
This Phillips 66 job that I was on, we did exactly what you just talked about. Christie, where we had, hey, this area is gonna be laid down for the first 6 months for structural steel. And then we'll get in there and build the foundation for the actual structure that's gonna go there. And so each phase, we had a separate staging or lay down plan, if you will.
Yeah, it's a little different. I mean, the students that are here, you know, the plans for building construction versus like say a highway job, you know, or some kind of linear type job is going to be a lot different. The plans are a lot different than say a building job. And so the staging might be the thought process behind the staging is going to be different for heavy civil than it is for, say, you know, a building construction job. But you guys might still do the overlaying and such too.
So this is, I mean, I'll just share this really quick.
And Garrett, you're not sharing, I don't think. Yeah.
I just flipped over. So
Yeah.
this was something I put together for an estimate for the same project. It's a pretty simple scope, but to convey the message that I had for my boss, I identified in red the objects that were to be demoed. I overlaid it with the new construction, which is this yellow and orange and blue. So that's a little bit of a phasing plan, so to speak. I don't have any good examples at the moment of, like, you know, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Do you have P66 readily available?
No. But I'd tell you that same proposal that I put together, so just thinking of I'm not sure if site utilization plan is the same as what I'm thinking of. But for example, we had limited space on this proposal as far as working space. And so we laid out, hey, when we first start, we have some demo to do. And so phase 1 is demo. Okay, where is the equipment going to be at? Where is the work at? And then phase 2 is building some walls. And so there's a bunch of material that we have to stage. So, okay, here's where the wall panels are going to be. Here's where the soil reinforcement is going to be. And each phase, it kind of lays out, here's what's in each phase and where it's at. I don't know that.
And this is a site logistics plan that I marked up that needed to be drafted. So you have your truck routing, you have your stockpile, you have your office trailer. It's pretty early in design now.
Anything else?
On the, when you do the logistics one, the logistics plan, do you use, what reference photo do you use? Or do you use the plans? It's like,
You can use Google Earth, you can use site plans. It just depends on where you're at and what's needed at the time.
And Garrett, say you're doing a linear project, you know, not a full, you know, like this pump plant replacement. Say you're doing a big highway job, like, I'm trying to think of the highway job. Oh, the 101. Okay. Do you typically on a heavy civil job set up your, you know, your lay down areas at different spots, or do you move them? How does that work?
Depends on the job, but you would move them.
Okay.
You would move them as needed throughout the phasing.
And then would you set up a plan for each of those moves, you know, a stage or whatever that you're working at?
Yeah, at San Jose, we had multiple phases that changed the where our stockpile was. So we had We had like 5 or 6 different drawings that showed whatever phase we were in for any given window. That I wish I had it readily available for you right now. It would make more sense like it does in my head. But yeah, you would have your stockpile shown in various locations and where you're gonna keep your material.
Well, I guess maybe a good example of a linear job is this job in Hawaii that I had is 13 miles of elevated guideway. And so that you first started with the foundation. And so the foundation crew, they needed, it's right down the median of a major thoroughfare. And they needed a minimum, like of 30 feet between K-rail. They needed a pad for the machine to sit on. So we had a layout for every column for the drilled shaft pad. And then the next crew that came in was your column. So they had to stage their form, their rebar, place for the concrete truck to actually place the column. So we'd have a drawing for each location for that. And then after the columns were done, then you put in the spans. And so we'd have each location. So it's kind of like a train that follows, but each location would have a separate staging plan for each phase of the job, the foundation, the column, and the span and stuff.
I see. And what are you doing? I'm curious about your job up in San Jose where you're doing the tunneling. Are you working with VTA and BART, Caltrain and BART?
I'm not sure VTA is the client. I'm not involved in the job, but I know VTA is our client.
Okay. And I was going to ask about that. Like, say, how do you set up the staging plan for that? Is it in a particular area? But if you don't know the job, you may not know.
Yeah, and that one's super early. Like, they have. I'm not even sure where they're at on design. It's very early. Like,
So they haven't started digging the tunnel.
Oh no, they haven't
Okay.
even ordered the TBM yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And when you're setting up big jobs like that in the Bay Area, say you've got concrete or some other materials that you're bringing into the site or moving off, do you contract with batch plants offsite, or do you set up a batch plant on site?
It depends on the job. Orville had batch plants on site. Most of our San Jose area jobs, we buy from concrete vendors.
Okay.
Yeah, normally if you can get it, if you can get it within a close enough distance, I guess the only time that we've had to set up batch plants, like you said, up in Oroville, where we had an extreme amount of concrete and no nearby vendors. I was also on a project in Washington State where we set up a batch plant because we were in a port facility with trains that routinely block the entrance. And we didn't want to be at risk of having concrete on it because we had pours every day. And so we actually set up a batch plant to mitigate that risk. But generally in the Bay Area, there's plenty of concrete vendors, producers in the area that we don't have to set up.
And how do you, I'm asking this because one of our commercial team actually had a project in Sunnyvale. It was a community center in Sunnyvale. And if I remember correctly, they had to figure out, how they're going to bring in concrete. And when you have a big job like that, when you have to get, say, a vendor or subcontractor to bring in, that material, do you bid that out or do you just call them up and decide who you're going to use?
You bid it out, and then you bid it out.
Although I would add a caveat that we've got enough experience in the Bay Area that I'd say service varies based on where you're at and the supplier. So on a recent project, I paid a premium for concrete and for my reinforcing, my rebar furnish and install sub. I paid a premium for both of those subs because I knew I could trust them, and schedule is absolutely critical. And I couldn't take the risk of having a concrete supplier that that maybe would deliver
Run out of- yeah, run
concrete
out of
out of
fly
spec
ash, yeah.
or.
Run out of
Yeah.
fly ash,
Right? Yeah, or an ironworker sub that,
goes out of business.
yeah, so you will pay a so sometimes, yeah, you do want to pay a premium to make sure you get the service, to make sure you get the quality that you need. Depends on what's, kind of what's driving the job.
And not all concrete vendors can, for example, can provide the concrete that you need at the quantities you need and how often you need it. So we may just limit it down to 3 competitors. But all concrete pours get a map of where the pour is going and we have a route for it. So we don't have any hiccups and we use Bluebeam to make it.
And I don't know if I'm asking a question that you can't say or not, but who are the good concrete vendors in the Bay Area?
My experience has been CMEX is good, Granite Rock's good, and how'd you like Central? You like them? You
What
can
was
use
the last one?
Central Concrete?
Okay, I haven't heard of them.
You didn't use them at P66? Oh, we used them for like 4 pours at P66.
Not for the big pours.
No, I mean, they're at Rick and Auto. I only used them.
Yeah, we used to use Cemex a lot.
Yeah, Cimex and Granite Rock or
Yeah, Cemex was.
Cal Portland up north.
Yeah.
In
Maybe-
Granite Rock, does that come out of Watsonville?
No, they have a dozen or so batch plants in the Bay Area itself.
Okay. Interesting.
We pull concrete from Redwood City and San Jose during the same pour, which were 2 different batch plants. It just depends on what they got going on.
Any other questions?
When you guys want to use Bluebeam Studio just for like projects where you were doing more than one sub? The project that you guys sub on, you have to hire part to do, instead of going through a longer process.
I have, if it's just one sub, I probably just do just a normal drawing. I reserve the Bluebeam Studio sessions for me of larger groups, maybe. Maybe because I don't know how to set up a Bluebeam session, I have people that do it for me, but yeah. The Bluebeam
Garrett,
Studio
I
is
think
good.
our bug leaders could show you how to set up a Bluebeam session.
Yeah, Matt, show me how to set up a session. No, we have document control that help us out with that. There's a scheme that I have to follow.
Oh, I see.
Any other thoughts, concerns? You just came for the food and you stayed an hour now?
I have another question, Garrett. So how,
Louise had a question.
oh, go ahead, Louise.
Louise had a question, ask if we use Procore. I don't know.
I've seen us use it. I am probably not the guy.
I've never used it. I don't know.
We're using place of Procore.
It's another collaboration.
Yeah.
I've never used it. What is it used for? What is it?
Usually like communication between the architect and contractors, like you'll put all your RFIs in Procore.
Oh, no, now I know. Valley Water uses it. The people that I have been around don't seem to be a fan of it. We use EADoc and other similar type programs.
Teambinder, is that?
Ours is Teambinder.
Yeah.
It's a doc control system.
Yeah, we have a lot of our own tools. That a lot of our clients have used them. So I'm what with our Teambinder is the equivalent.
Our Bluebeam sessions are through our version of Procore.
Okay.
Christy, you had a question?
Yeah, and I thought of another one. When are you guys gonna build dams up in the Sierra so that it holds back some water for us?
I don't know about Miss Sierras. They're talking about, has anybody heard of sites?
No.
Back it all
Yeah. Site. S-I-T-E-S. If you look up where Sites California is, it's a water storage project essentially north of Vacaville, Maxwell, California, Redding, kind of out in that area where the idea is to build, it's like 3 main dams, 9 saddle dams, giant pump house, and essentially what it is it stores water, creates a huge reservoir. It's called sites because it, I think, floods the current unincorporated area of site. What's that?
You said like Vacaville, and I think it's up north, and there's like,
It's by Williams.
there's like one section in a valley that if they dam up, then it will make like large reservoir.
Yep.
I remember reading about that. Yeah.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, so I don't know about the Sierras, but that's been gaining some steam. So.
And then there's Pacheco with Valley Water.
Hmm.
That should go past, so that's a new dam. It's hard to build new dams. They don't like to do that right now.
They do, there are quite a few though that, I got a list somewhere of all the various dam raises and,
Remember Shasta?
yeah. Anything else?
Either we're really good teachers or we're really bad at.
So, yeah, I guess, Thomas asked, he asked if we're hiring. We got, internships and new hire, E1 positions as well. So I'm doing some interviews, me and, Tessa, Gary, you're doing some interviews. Are you doing it tomorrow? Either way, we got interviews tomorrow after, so 10 to 3, we'll be in this room doing those presentations. We'll be out there just outside of Engineering East. Come and chat with us. Like I said, we'll have lunch in here and here for the round table. But yeah, if you're interested, come chat with us. Resume always helps, not necessary, not required. But yeah, we'll have interviews tomorrow afternoon and then again Thursday morning. So if you're interested, come chat with us and. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh, wait, don't go. Hey, Matt. We had our what's coming up slide.
What? Everybody, hold on.
Hey,
Yeah.
I messed up.
Don't go.
Do you want to stop screen sharing real quick?
Yeah. Hold
And
on.
Matt, maybe you could do a little plug for everybody.
Okay, so everybody, we have our next speaker on November 14th. It's going to be AECom. That's RJ's company. He's going to be speaking. And then kind of as Christy talked about earlier in the meeting, we're looking for new bug champions for next semester. Tomas, Karndeep, I think Nanad and Ray and Manny and myself, we're getting ready to age out. So if anybody needs something on their resume, they want to put a bug leader on there, it'd be a good thing for you. So with that, thank you guys for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for staying, RJ.
Yeah, and I think on November 14th, I think it'll be me that's gonna present.
What'd you say?